York, New York. It's the Sonji Land Show.
Every day is upside down in Sonji Land.
Hi and welcome to the Sonji Land Show where everybody's upside down. And today I'm so happy and so honored to have three of my members at Nook. And it's Sherry, Sarah, and Isabel. It was really important to me to talk to these three ladies because they're super dedicated and their experience is hopefully going to help you as well. So I'm so happy you're here. And we're going to play a game today where we're going to answer some questions about their practice and we'll learn more about you with the questions.
Let's go. Because it kind of tests my resolve. If I don't get results, which I often don't get consistently, I will try to, the next day I can try it again. So it's something I can try repeatedly. Also I train them because I have my special friends to train with. So that's why.
I started training handstands seriously in 2018. I had done them for years before in yoga, and I found it so scary just to kick up to the wall, and I was completely intimidated by it. And in 2018, my mother had just died, and I felt like she was my support for everything. So I sort of felt like the handstand was a metaphor for I could learn to stand on my hands. I could learn to stand on my feet. In my new life, my body had also been destroyed from childbirth twice. I had ended up, I thought I was a yoga teacher. I'm just going to go in and have a natural birth. And I ended up with 2 C-sections and then a 3rd abdominal surgery for an umbilical hernia. And when I first signed up for a handstand program, Sherry was actually the one who interviewed me for it. And it was for not just a handstand program, but a press handstand program. I could not feel my abdomen. Like I had no sensation at all. So the fact that I was going to try to do this was like insane. But it was also a way for me of trying to rebuild and reclaim control of my body. So I've been on a much slower climb up the mountain than many of the other handstanders I see who get things a lot quicker, but I'm learning a lot along the way and I've made some great friends.
For me, it's just, I see it like a journey and get out of my comfort zone. I had a lot of injuries before and a lot of just setbacks along the handstand journeys. I grew up as a dancer and ballerina, so I was strong like the lower part of my body, but very weak, my upper body. And it's just a way for me to kind of get a bit more balance. It's kind of interesting because balance, handstand you balance, but a little bit more balanced body. But I feel also from a mindset perspective, it's just like, keep showing up, doing the work, and not being so attached to the outcome, whether I get it or not. It's just like a growth process. I see it like as a personal growth journey as well. Mm-hmm. For me, it's just getting over a lot of fears. It's funny, I'm thinking I'm here doing this interview. I don't like to be in the spotlight. So handstand for me is a way of facing those fears in a different way and made me stronger in other aspects of my life.
Love it.
I think handstand represents freedom to me.
Oh. How so?
I can get away from this darn wall.
Yeah, you're super close.
Do it in the middle of the room. It is being free.
Yeah, and this is actually, I just want to tell everyone because this is so interesting. Sarah can balance when the wall is behind her. she can balance for, I don't know, 30 seconds, freestanding, do shape changes, and everything changes as soon as you take the wall away, which I find highly interesting, and she's not the only one. So it's a big thing we're working on.
Yeah.
And finding all the strategies.
I'm grateful to have a teacher who's willing to explore so many different avenues with me as I try to get out of my own head.
Yep, and we will keep searching and working.
Let's go.
I already told you. The one other thing I would say is when I was introduced to handstands through yoga, I was in a yoga teacher training, and in my class of about 15 other students, I was the last one to kick up to the wall. I was 28 at the time. I'm 43 now. There was a woman who was in her 60s, and she did it long before I did. And it was at that time also a mental thing. Like, I had the physical strength and flexibility to do it. I just needed to get over the mental hurdle to kick up.
Yeah, I remember you told me about that. And what was it that finally made you do it?
I think I just got so frustrated with myself. Like, I was just annoyed. And that's sort of how I'm starting to feel now about the wall. So hopefully the same breakthrough will be coming soon.
I always wonder how it is in yoga classes, because I think all of you got introduced to handstands in general through yoga, right?
Yes.
Is it that you just see other people do them, or are they taught? I'm jumping ahead here a little, but I'm just really curious.
They're taught in classes, and then they were being taught in my teacher training.
I think taught is kind of being generous. The word taught.
Yeah, because it's just one pose in a
It's a
sequence of
Poses.
25 poses in the course of a class, so you don't get super detailed instruction.
It's just pretty much like, okay, just try to kick up, then, very, very loose instructions. And if anything, we would probably practice it for a minute or so. And sometimes the teacher will give you 5 minutes to practice against a wall, just try to kick up against a wall. And there's really no structure to it. It's like Sarah said, it's just another pose that you try to put yourself into, a shape that you try, and which is like we know is very, very complicated, and there's a lot of components to it. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I want to pin that and come back to it, but let's keep going on with the question so we know how all of you got introduced. So Isabel, let's continue with you.
Well, I took a workshop. It was an inversion workshop, and they put me upside down on a headstand, but then it was other poses too, so the form balance and handstand, and it was just like kick up. If you continue kicking up, one day you'll be strong enough to be able to kick up to get there. And I feel like I developed maybe some bad habits. I got injured all the way from just trying to keep up and no engagement and kind of bending back, which is my kind of weak point. Right. So, well, it's funny because some people, I remember there was one, the student also, it was a guy, and he said, oh, I kick up maybe 2-3 hours for a day, and then I got it. I'm just like, okay, great. Well, I kick up, I don't get it. So I just guess that it just depends on maybe the person's background and ability and a lot of other things. I was trying to kick up, that's all. I mean, that's all I could. Kick up and try to balance, kick up and try to balance. That's kind of pretty much.
And when was the first time you did a chest to wall handstand?
I had a training. There was a teacher that came and I did the workshop. It was very, very scary to me because I thought I'm going to tumble over, I'm going to fall, I'm going to hurt my back. To me, that's kind of the biggest fear I had along the years. I'm going to fall back in a in a wheel and I'm gonna hurt my back again. So it's always been kind of my fear of falling was more so that I'm gonna hurt my back. So it didn't feel very comfortable. And I remember one of the teachers said, "Oh no, we don't do that. It's just better to have back to walls rather than face to wall."
Oh, interesting. The teacher said that. And what's your view on it now?
For me, right now, I don't really care for kick-ups. I would rather either do drills facing the wall or try to press because I feel more stable and I feel that I need less precision because my body will be stacked. But the kick-up is just like, it needs to be so precise for me to stack up and find the balance. Maybe I'm not there yet in my mind. I don't know. It's just like I feel like maybe for me, this is the way it would be rather than kicking up because my hips, and it's just been my problem, my hips tend to get out of alignment, especially one leg kick up, and then sometimes I have too much force when I'm in the free space and then I kind of push too much or something happens and then I have a little, you did something you should not have done. So that's hip stability for me.
But in terms of holding a handstand or balancing and also bailing from a chest to wall handstand and all that, you have overcome that, all of that. And
thanks to
you.
For sure.
So you didn't get introduced to those kinds of drills before?
Bailing out. I've taken classes before. I remember actually one workshop I took, and they asked, what do you expect out? And I said, well, I would like to learn how to fall, and I was brushed. And just like, oh, I don't know. I don't remember what the answer was, but it was not something. And I don't know, maybe because I'm very logical, I just like, unless I know how to get out of it, I want to feel safe.
Yeah.
And I've asked that for many years and never got it until I met you.
Yeah, it's fascinating how there's not a lot of emphasis on the nitty-gritties of bailing, but also the mechanics of balancing in yoga.
Well, I think what happened is just that because yoga, there's so much emphasis on, backbends and stuff, and a lot of my teachers have been very backbendy. They would fall into a wheel.
Yeah,
and for me, that's the more scary part of it. Again, because of the back issue.
I think
for me.
It's also significant what you mentioned. The main inversions in yoga are headstand and shoulder stand, and then forearm stand and handstand sort of got added onto those in some styles of yoga. My mother practiced yoga for 30 years, and besides practicing with me, she was never into yoga that did handstands. And there are some people who don't even consider handstands like really a part of yoga. But for me, I had a lot of trouble with my neck for many years. So the headstand wasn't really accessible. I once got pretty badly injured in a headstand and thought I was going to have to give that up. So the handstand, as well as forearm stand, offered a safer alternative, but a scarier one because you're further away from the ground. I got the forearm stand much sooner, even though it requires more physical strength because it's less scary closer to the ground than the handstand where you're further up, but my neck was safe.
That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, I stopped practicing headstand as well because I had a teacher who does not really biomechanically feel that it's a safe option. And I experienced numbing of the arm by trying to hold a headstand for 5 minutes in class because we were told to, hold your headstand for 5 minutes. So I tried to hold it for as long as I can. And then shortly after, I developed numbness in the arm, and I had to go see a doctor and get an MRI, and there was, I think it was a herniated disc in my neck. So after that, I just said, well, okay, I'm going to give up headstand. But I do occasionally do headstand as a transition into arm balance, and that's it. So I will stay for only a few seconds, but never holding it for length of time.
I can do it now, but I don't hold it for more than 10 or 15 seconds.
Yeah.
Just since it's a new version, I can do away from the walls to remind myself.
Yeah.
To remind myself that I can.
And do yoga teachers know their students? Do they know their backgrounds, or is it more like drop-in classes?
It depends on the situation. Like in a teacher training, the teacher would know you very well. And in a series class where students commit to come every week for a certain amount of weeks, they get to know you. When I was teaching, I did a lot of open level classes that you never know who's going to come, and if it's a crowded class, it's very hard to give individual attention. I would teach sometimes the pike with the feet on the wall and the hands on the ground and the body in an L shape, which is fairly challenging, but I thought not as easy to get injured in. But it's very tricky if you have a mixed level group. Sometimes I would just offer it as an option for people who are already familiar, but not try. If you go and try to break it down and teach it, and there are students who really aren't ready, you get in a challenging, tricky position.
Sherry, what's your story with how you got introduced to handstands?
Also for yoga, I get with classes where the teacher might say, okay, we're going to go into a handstand, and they might be able to demo it. But generally, it's just like we discussed earlier, that it's just a pose, another pose, and it's not a skill to be developed. I would say I was introduced to it probably about 12 years ago or so. And same thing, just keep kicking up, and you'll get it eventually. And I tried kicking up, and I can get up, but I can't stay up. And of course, in that form, in that shape. So I think it wasn't until also about 2018 that I found a program that's actually more structured, where you have to go through certain drills, and that there's like a build up to ultimately.
Methodology.
Exactly, yeah. To that, and I think in terms of learning handstand, I think through people with a hand balancing background or movement background is where we do a lot of drills, chest to wall. I think that's what ultimately has helped me progress a little bit more. And doing, I think, a little bit each day as we do in your class, I think that's the way, at least for me, that has helped a lot. And that's the way I find I can learn and build my foundation more steadily and soundly.
With the consistency.
Yeah, consistency and getting feedback on a daily basis. That's really helpful. And encouragement on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So
yeah. It's amazing. You're doing freestanding handstands now pretty consistently.
Well, I've improved thanks to you, but
A lot, yeah.
So more to go, but I'm hopeful.
Well, there's always more to go, no matter where you go. All right, let's move on to the next question.
Let's go. Make it easy. Relax. 1, 2, 3. Not giving up.
Oh, that's a good one.
Same.
Yeah.
You too? What about you, Sherry?
Same. Yeah, just keep chipping at it.
Handstands are such a good tool to get rid of your ego because it really teaches you to be okay with sucking. Now, I don't even remember if I have a question in here about frustration, but I would love to hear a little bit more from all of you, since showing up and keeping on going is the big part that we're doing. how do you actually go over your frustrations? How do you get over them?
Usually I just say tomorrow's another day. Tomorrow's a brand new start, and I get another chance to try it. So that's how, so far I've been dealing with frustration. That's what I've been doing.
I have kept a gratitude journal for a long time, and I meditate every day and take a few minutes of that to think of what I'm grateful for, and just the fact that I have a body that's allowing me to try this stuff, even if I'm not getting anywhere, is something that I need to keep coming back to. And I had years of back pain, and then after I had kids, like I had a summer that I couldn't even walk. I had to hire a babysitter to lift my 15-pound son for me because I wasn't supposed to lift anything above 5 pounds. The fact that I can, support my entire body weight on my hands, even if I'm not getting to the place that I want to be yet, has still been, for me, a lot of progress, and I just need to keep remembering that.
To me, you're a warrior.
Thank you.
Because what you've been through is amazing. With everything, with your kids, and also with your mom and Bubby. Yeah. You're all amazing.
Let's go. Make it easy.
Okay, this is to pertain to handstand.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right.
You can talk about everything.
Other challenges probably very dull for this. Okay. Yeah. So my challenge is finding consistent balance. My challenge is my coordination, movement coordination. I have a habit of closing my shoulders, punching, and not moving my hips over more. And so that for some reason that coordination just it eludes me. So that's what it is. Okay, what am I doing to overcome it? I'm showing up for a class and getting feedback from Sonia, and which is doing the drills that you're giving me to do. And I think I'm making improvements. So
Yay!
yeah.
Sarah, what about you?
I already told you my biggest challenge. Getting away from the wall.
Yeah, I know that one. And we're doing everything.
We're doing everything.
I flew to New York. And I'm not leaving before you got it.
No.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest challenges for me is to find balance and understand how my body is in space in relation to my hands, so how I'm stacked.
Mm-hmm.
And really finding kind of that motion of over and under balance and readjusting. I'm working on it, but a lot of drills that you've given me. And I said, secondly, was the jumps.
Yeah.
And getting consistently the hips over the shoulders on, whether it's stop or straddle. It comes and goes, and when we were talking about frustration, that's one of my frustration, is just like, why can't I be consistently jumping and getting there? I know I can get it, but it just comes whenever it wants and goes whenever it wants, and it's just, I don't know yet what the missing part of it. What am I doing to do that, to correct it? It's just getting feedback from you and also doing it until I get it. So one of the challenges I overcame was being able to bail out. So,
And that's huge. Yeah. All right, we have one last question.
Let's go. Make it easy. Relax. 1, 2, 3.
Push.
Really? I wasn't expecting that at all.
Well, I like what you say about the diver. We actually, and that just kind of goes to show the power of practicing in a community, because that was something that came from one of the other students in class one day, and then you've continued, but to think of your arms as really pushing like a diver. At the beginning, for me, having had a huge diastasis, and I would stand with an anterior tilt all the time, so the ribs in was helpful both for handstand and for helping my back pain. I think I'm better at that now than I used to be, but really just keeping the push. And also I hear you in my brain saying more when you're telling me to come out when I'm doing the chest to wall, and I need to get my hips out more.
Yes.
Like that it's more than I think.
That's great. I love it.
Okay, good. Sherry,
What cues make the biggest difference for you?
Same. Push, 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 push. Ribs down, in and in. What else? I think this is probably very similar because we hear the same thing. Push more, more. Yeah.
I say more than that. But yeah, it's good to know that that really makes a difference.
Yeah. And just the other day, Sylvia shared a cue. Like, it's the power of the communities, like sharing cues with each other. Besides Jenny and the diver, right? Jenny and the diver. And Sylvia shared the cue about the heels. I think you tell her to get the heels out rather than legs out.
Because she was piking at the hips.
Yes. I think that helps too. Or at least I'm going to try it, but I think that's another cue I want to work with.
Yeah, we got to take it one cue at a time.
But the push never leaves.
Exactly, yeah, it's like a baseline.
Yeah.
and Katie taught me the cue of externally rotating the hips in straddles and presses, and that helped my balance with that so much.
Well, push is there for sure, but also when we doing chest to wall, you say bring the hips in line. Don't think about the foot. You know, when you're upside down.
Yeah, thinking about the relationship between shoulders and hips rather than
the foot. So I try to think about that because I think otherwise I may be moving the legs, but then my body's not stacked. And I think if my hips are stacked, then the leg will be there by extension. So, and I'm still trying to kind of work on the hands placement and where to actually try to feel that I'm stacked on my hand. I'm working on that, but that's kind of something that's important to me because since I cannot see myself when I'm upside down, so I'm trying to find how I'm aligned so I find balance. I don't know if that makes sense. Maybe
Absolutely.
Because it's like
And
my background.
you nailed it yesterday.
Thank you. So that's kind of what I'm really trying to understand in my body. Where is the weight in my hand? Because once I really have that consistently, then balance will be there.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. It's hard to describe it because when you say feel my weight on top of the hands, it sounds so simple, but there's so much going on inside. It's all the pieces moving in relationship to each other. So,
Well, another cue that you like to use is put your brain into your hands.
oh yeah,
Put your brain into your hands. And a couple of times when you said that, I kind of also add put your heart into your hands because the feeling, right? Because otherwise I just overthink things. like, how many pounds of force am I putting on the heels of my hands and fingers? So if I try to feel it, then, maybe it will work also. So.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
It's a really good one. I'm trying to have like fewer cues in my own mind because part of me feels like I have to kick up and touch the wall so that I can remember to point my toes and squeeze my butt and draw my ribs in and push and have my weight in the middle of my hands. And I really just need to do it. Like my body needs to internalize those things and it needs to not be like such a checklist that I have to go through every time I get up.
Yes, amen to that. Yeah. We're out of questions. Thank you so much for doing this with me. This was really great, and I actually think I believe that me interviewing lots of high-level circus hand balancers and professional coaches kind of paints a wrong picture of what reality is for normal people when you learn a handstand, because it's really not that easy to learn. And I love that you're all so dedicated and you're putting your heart into this just as much as I am. And I'm grateful for that, and we're doing it together.
And we're grateful for you.
Yes, we are. And the community.
Yeah. Yeah, we're like a family. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to join us, go over to nookmovementstudios.com and you can sign up for 7 days for free and hang out with us and do handstands and flexibility. And yeah, it's never too late to do what you love. And I'll see you next Monday on the Sonji Show.